The stars looked different from the bridge of the Soul's Pride. Captain So-Min Lee watched them through the main screen as her ship moved through space faster than light. This was humanity's first trip to meet aliens, and she felt the weight of that responsibility on her shoulders. "We are almost there, Captain," said Lieutenant Dong Han from his station. The young officer looked nervous but excited. So-Min understood how he felt. They were all making history today. Ambassador Jin-Ho Park stood beside her, looking calm despite what lay ahead. The older man had spent 30 years solving problems between countries on Earth. Now he would try to make peace with entire alien races. His gray hair was neat, and his diplomatic uniform was perfect. He carried a briefcase with Earth's gifts and peace offers. "Tell me about this Nexus station again," So-Min said to Dr. Tae-Jun Kim. Their alien expert Tae-Jun looked up from his notes. "It is huge, the size of a small moon. 12 different alien races built it together over many years. They call themselves the Galactic Confederation. They make all the big decisions for this part of space." "And they have been in charge for how long?" Jin-Ho asked. "Over 3,000 years, Tae-Jun replied. "They are very advanced, much more than us. But that is why we need to be careful and respectful." Chief Engineer Nari Song called from the engine room through the communication system. "Captain, our engines are running perfectly. All systems are ready." "Good work, Nari," So-Min replied. She trusted her engineer completely. Nari was young but brilliant. She had helped design the Soul's Pride's new engines that made this trip possible. Commander Hai-Won Choi walked onto the bridge. She was in charge of ship security and looked serious as always. "Captain, I have checked all our weapon systems. They are powered down as requested, but ready if we need them." "We will not need them," Jin-Ho said firmly. "We come in peace. Violence is the last thing we want." Hai-Won nodded, but did not look completely convinced. "Of course, Ambassador, but it is my job to be ready for anything." The Soul's Pride dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a gentle shake. Through the main screen, they saw Nexus Station. For the first time, it was massive beyond imagination. The station looked like a giant metal city floating in space. Ships of many different shapes and sizes moved around it, like insects around a bright light. "My God," whispered Dong-Woo. "It is beautiful." So-Min had to agree. The station had tall towers and curved sections that caught the light from a nearby star. Different parts were clearly built by different alien races, but they all fit together somehow. "Incoming message," reported the communications officer. "Put it on screen," So-Min ordered. A face appeared that was clearly not human. The alien had blue skin and 4 eyes. When it spoke, the translation computer changed its words into Korean. "Human vessel, you are cleared to dock at Bay 94. Follow the guideship. Do not deviate from the path. Any aggressive action will result in immediate destruction." "Friendly," Hai-Won muttered. "They are just being careful," Jin-Ho said. "We would do the same." A small ship approached them and began leading them toward the station. As they got closer, the Soul's Pride looked tiny next to Nexus Station. So-Min felt like an ant approaching a mountain. The docking process went smoothly. Nari's engines worked perfectly, and soon they were attached to the station. Through the windows, they could see alien beings moving around on the docks. Some walked on 2 legs like humans, but others moved in very different ways. "The welcoming committee is here," reported Dong-Woo. A group of aliens waited outside their ship. The leader was tall and thin with silver skin. Dr. Tae-Jun had studied pictures of different alien races, and he recognized this one. "That is a Vorthik," he told Jin-Ho. "They are one of the most powerful races in the Confederation. Very proud, and they think they are better than everyone else. Then we will be extra polite Jinho replied. The airlock opened, and Jinho stepped out first. So Min and a small team followed him. The air tasted different, but was safe to breathe. The gravity felt normal. The silver-skinned alien stepped forward. I am High Counselor Vextar of the Vorthic Empire. You are the humans? Yes, I am Ambassador Jinho Park, representing Earth and all humanity. We are honored to meet you. Vextar looked Jinho up and down like he was examining an interesting insect. You are smaller than we expected, and you look very much like the Kepler species. Are you related to them? We do not know the Kepler species, Jinho replied, but we would be happy to learn about them. The Kepler were weak. They no longer exist. Vextar said this without any emotion, as if talking about the weather dot, so Min felt a chill run down her back. To-jun looked worried, but Jinho kept smiling. We hope to prove that humans can be valuable members of the galactic community, Jinho said. We have brought gifts and offers of friendship. Vextar seemed slightly interested. What kind of gifts? Jinho opened his briefcase and took out a small device. This is a medical scanner that can detect diseases before symptoms appear. We also offer our music, art, and literature. And we have new ideas about energy production that might interest you. For the first time, Vextar looked truly interested. Energy production? Show me. Jinho activated a small holographic projector. It showed diagrams of fusion reactors and solar collection systems. The aliens in the group moved closer to look. Interesting, said another alien with 6 arms. This design is different from ours. How efficient is it? Very efficient, Jinho replied, and much safer than older methods. The aliens talked among themselves in their own languages. The translation computer could not understand everything, but So-min heard words that sounded positive. Very well, Vextar finally said. The council will see you in 3 days. You may stay on your ship until then. Do not leave the docking area without permission. Of course. Thank you for this opportunity. As the aliens left, So-min felt hopeful. The first meeting had gone better than expected. Maybe humans really could find a place in this galactic community. But Dr. Taejun looked troubled. Captain, I need to research something. That comment about the Kepler species ... What about it? I want to find out what really happened to them. Jinho overheard. Doctor, let us focus on the positive. We have 3 days to prepare for the most important meeting in human history. So-min nodded, but she made a mental note to listen to what Taejun discovered. Something about Vextar's casual mention of an extinct species bothered her too. For now, though, they had work to do. Earth's future might depend on the next few days. 3 days passed quickly on Nexus Station. Jinho spent his time preparing for the acceptance ceremony, while Dr. Taejun researched in the station's public database. What he found made him sick to his stomach. Captain, you need to see this, Taejun said urgently on the second day. He had called So-min to his temporary office on the station. What did you find? The Kepler species. They were not weak like Vextar said. They were actually quite advanced. They had art, science, and peaceful cities. What happened to them then? Tae-chun's face was pale. The Confederation happened. The Kepler refused to give up their independence. They wanted to keep their own government, so the Confederation destroyed their entire planet. So-min felt cold. All of them? Every single one? Men, women, children. The Confederation called it necessary correction of dangerous thinking. We need to tell Jinho. I tried. He says we cannot change our approach now. He believes we can. Be different. That we can prove humans are valuable enough to keep alive. So-min was not so sure anymore. But the ceremony was tomorrow, and it was too late to turn back. On the morning of the ceremony, Chief Engineer Nari Song was doing final checks on their ship when she found something wrong. She called So-Min immediately. "Captain, someone has been inside our engine room." "What? How is that possible?" "I do not know, but they damaged our faster-than-light drive. We cannot leave until I fix it." "How long will it take?" "At least 6 hours, maybe more." So-Min felt trapped. They were stuck on the station whether they wanted to be or not. The ceremony hall was enormous. Thousands of aliens from all 12 Confederation species filled the seats. Cameras from across the galaxy recorded everything. Jin-Ho walked to the center stage wearing his best diplomatic uniform. High Counselor Vexstar stood at a tall podium. "Today we welcome a new species to our galactic community. The humans of Earth have shown they can contribute to our civilization." Jin-Ho smiled and bowed respectfully. Behind him stood his diplomatic team, Dr. Taejun, 2 other scientists, and a cultural expert. So-Min watched from the human section with Commander Hai-Won and Lieutenant Dong-Woo. "Ambassador Park, please step forward to receive the mark of acceptance." Jin-Ho walked forward proudly. This was the moment humanity had dreamed of since first looking at the stars. Vexstar held up a small crystal device. "This symbol shows that Earth is now part of our great confederation." But as Jin-Ho reached for the crystal, Vexstar's expression changed. His face became cold and cruel. "However," Vexstar said loudly, "the Council has discovered that humans carry a dangerous contamination." Jin-Ho looked confused. "I do not understand. What contamination?" "The contamination of independent thought. The same disease that infected the Kepler." Around the hall, alien soldiers suddenly appeared with weapons. So-Min jumped to her feet, but Hai-Won grabbed her arm. "Wait," Hai-Won whispered. "If we move too fast, they will kill us all." "You see," Vexstar continued, "humans cannot simply follow orders. You ask questions. You want to keep your own culture. You think you are equal to your betters. This is very dangerous." "But we came in peace," Jin-Ho said desperately. "We offered friendship." "Yes, and that is the problem. You think you can be friends with your superiors. You do not understand that you should be servants." The alien soldiers raised their weapons. So-Min saw energy rifles pointing at Jin-Ho and his team. "Please," Jin-Ho said, "give us a chance. We can learn. We can follow your rules." Vexstar smiled coldly. "It is too late for that. The decision is made." The first shot hit Dr. Taejun in the chest. He fell backward without a sound. The other humans on stage tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. "No!" Jin-Ho shouted. He tried to shield one of his team members, but the energy weapons cut him down 2 in the audience. So-Min felt Hai-Won pulling her toward an exit. "We have to go now." But So-Min could not look away. On the stage, alien soldiers were executing the entire human diplomatic team. Jin-Ho was still alive, crawling across the floor, reaching toward the cameras. "Tell ... double quotes," he gasped with his last breath. "Tell them ... we tried ... The cameras kept recording as Jin-Ho died. Vexstar stepped over his body. "Let this be a message to all species," the alien leader announced. "This is what happens to those who refuse to accept their proper place in our order." Hai-Won finally dragged So-Min out of the hall. They ran through corridors as alarms began to sound. Behind them, they could hear Confederation soldiers shouting, "Orders, this way." Lieutenant Dong-Woo appeared from a side passage. "I found a route back to our ship." They ran as fast as they could. Other humans from their crew joined them along the way. When they reached the docking bay, Nari was waiting with the ship's engines already running. "Get on board," she shouted. "I managed to fix the drive, but it will not last long." They rushed onto the Soul's Pride. Through the windows, they could See Confederation ships moving to surround them. Can we make it out? So Min asked as she took her position on the bridge. Maybe, Naray replied from the engine room. But the repairs are temporary. We might lose power halfway home. We have to try. The Soul's Pride launched from the docking bay just as enemy ships opened fire. Energy beams lit up the space around them, but So Min's piloting skills kept them moving. Jump to faster than light. Now, So Min ordered. The stars stretched into lines as they escaped into hyperspace. They had made it out alive, but barely dot in the silence that followed. The surviving humans sat in shock. Lieutenant Dongwu was crying quietly. Commander Hai One stared at the floor with her hands clenched into fists. They murdered them, So Min sighed quietly. They invited us to a ceremony and then murdered our people. It was all planned, Hai One said with anger in her voice. The sabotage, the ceremony, everything. They never intended to let us join them. Nari's voice came over the communication system. Captain, I am receiving a message from Earth. They want to know how the ceremony went. So Min closed her eyes. How could she tell them what had happened? How could she explain that humanity's dream of joining the galactic community had ended in blood? Put me through to Earth Command, she said finally. Admiral Kyung Soo Yoon's face appeared on the screen. He was smiling, expecting good news. Captain, Lee, how did it go? Are we officially part of the Confederation now? So Min took a deep breath. Sir, I need to report that Ambassador Park and his entire team are dead. The Confederation executed them during the ceremony. The Admiral's smile disappeared. What did you say? It was a trap, sir. They never intended to accept us. They called us contaminated. They said we think too independently. Are you sure? Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Sir, I watched them die. The whole galaxy watched them die. It was broadcast live. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, harder. Captain, get home as fast as you can. We need to prepare. Prepare for what, sir? War, Captain. If they want to see what contaminated humans can do, we will show them. The transmission ended. So Min looked around the bridge at her surviving crew. They were all thinking the same thing. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans would be easy to destroy like the Kepler, but they were wrong. Humans were different. And now they would learn just how different. The Soul's Pride continued its journey home, carrying news that would change everything. The Soul's Pride limped back to Earth with its engines barely working. Captain So Min Lee brought her ship home on emergency power while the whole world waited for news. What they received changed humanity forever. President Min Ji Kang stood in the emergency session room of the United Nations. Around the table sat leaders from every major country on Earth. The room was silent as they watched the recording that So Min had brought back. On the screen, Ambassador Jinho Park reached toward the camera with his dying breath. Tell Earth. We tried ... quotes President Kang turned off the recording. Several leaders were crying. Others looked furious. How many ships are coming? Asked the Chinese Premier. General Wu Jin Lim, head of Earth's combined military forces, stood up with the report. Our long-range sensors show at least 50 Confederation vessels approaching the solar system. They will arrive in approximately 6 weeks. 50 ships, whispered the Brazilian president. We only have 12 interstellar vessels total. Then, we build more, President Kang said firmly. We have 6 weeks to prepare for the biggest fight in human history. The Russian leader shook his head. It is impossible. We cannot build a fleet that fast. We can, said a new voice from the doorway. Dr. Young Ho Seo walked into the room carrying a thick folder. With respect, Mr. President, it is time to reveal Project Prometheus. President Kang nodded. Dr. Seo has been working on classified. Military projects for the past 5 years. Tell them what you have. Dr. CO opened his folder. We have been preparing for this possibility since we first detected alien signals. We have automated shipyards, new weapon designs, and manufacturing. Systems that can work continuously. He showed them pictures of hidden facilities around the solar system. Massive construction yards orbited Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Automated factories on the moon were already building components. How many ships can you produce? Asked General Lim. With all facilities working at maximum capacity? 200 ships in 6 weeks, maybe more. The room erupted in surprised voices. It seemed impossible. The ships will be smaller than Confederation vessels, Dr. CO continued, but faster and cheaper to build. We call them Fury-class fighters. Meanwhile, on a military base in South Korea, Commander Ji-woo Park stared at her father's personal effects. Jinho's briefcase sat on her desk, returned by the Soul's Pride crew. Inside were his notes about alien psychology and behavior. Doc Ji-woo was a military strategist, not a diplomat like her father. But his observations about alien thinking patterns gave her ideas. The Confederation had made mistakes during the massacre. They had revealed information about their military tactics and command structure. She called her assistant. Get me all the data from Nexus Station. Every recording, every sensor reading everything. Yes, Commander. What are you looking for? Weaknesses. Father always said that every system has flaws. Even the Confederation. Dr. Young-ho's shipyards worked around the clock. Automated systems built ship after ship, while human workers assembled weapons and equipment. The Fury-class fighters were simple but deadly. Each one carried nuclear missiles and high-energy lasers. But the real surprise was what the humans were building in secret locations throughout the solar system. Massive defense platforms hid behind asteroids and moons. Automated mining systems turned entire asteroids into weapons factories. Captain So Min found herself promoted to admiral and put in charge of training new pilots. Thousands of volunteers came forward when the government announced what had happened to the diplomatic mission. They killed our people during a peace ceremony, So Min told a group of new pilots. They broadcast it across the galaxy to scare other species. But they made one mistake. They do not understand humans. The pilots listened carefully. Most were young, but their eyes burned with determination. We are not like other species they have conquered, So Min continued. When someone attacks us, we do not surrender. We fight back, and we fight to win. Lieutenant Dong-woo Han, now promoted to captain for his bravery during the escape, raised his hand. Admiral, what if they try to negotiate when they see our defenses? Then we remember Ambassador Park's words. We remember Dr. Kim. We remember all the humans who died because they believed in peace. So Min's voice grew hard. There will be no negotiation until they pay for what they did. The first Confederation scout ships arrived at the edge of the solar system 5 weeks later. They expected to find a primitive civilization with a few small ships. Instead, they found something impossible. Admiral Kyung Soo-yoon watched the enemy approach from his command center on the moon. Around him, screens showed the positions of over 300 human vessels. The aliens had no idea what was waiting for them. Sir, the scout ships are scanning our defenses, reported a communications officer. Let them look, Admiral Yoon replied. I want them to see what humans can accomplish in 6 weeks. The Confederation scouts sent a message back to their main fleet, but human intelligence officers, trained by Commander Ji-woo, intercepted and decoded it. They are calling for reinforcements, Ji-woo reported to the command center. They describe our fleet as impossibly large and technologically unexpected. Good, said Admiral Yoon. Fear is a weapon, too. President Kang addressed the world. One final time before the battle began. Her speech was broadcast to every human on Earth and throughout the solar system. 6 weeks ago, our representatives went to the stars in peace. They carried messages of friendship and cooperation. They were murdered for it. The aliens who killed them think we will surrender out of fear. They think we are weak because we sought peace first. She paused and looked directly into the camera. They are about to learn that peaceful people can become the most dangerous enemies of all. We did not choose this war, but we will finish it. The main Confederation fleet arrived 2 days later. 50 massive warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by hundreds of human vessels. High Admiral Zekthar of the Confederation looked at his tactical display in disbelief. How is this possible? Our intelligence said they had 12 ships total. Sir, we are detecting automated defense platforms throughout the Yule system, hundreds of them, and their ship designs are completely unknown. Admiral So Min led the first attack wave in her new flagship, the Righteous Fury. Behind her flew 200 Fury-class fighters, each one piloted by a human who remembered Jin-Ho Park's final words. This is Admiral Lee to all human forces. She broadcast. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every species the Confederation has murdered. Today we show the galaxy that humans do not forgive. We do not forget, and we do not surrender. The battle began with human fighters swarming the larger Confederation ships like angry bees. The aliens had expected a simple conquest. Instead, they found themselves in the fight of their lives, human weapons, designed specifically to counter Confederation technology, punched through alien shields. Human pilots, fighting for their murdered friends, showed no mercy. Within hours, the Confederation fleet was in full retreat. They had lost 20 ships and gained nothing. Earth's defenses had held, and humanity had won its first victory. This was only the beginning. In hidden bases throughout the solar system, more ships were being built. Humanity had awakened to its true potential, and the galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after the massacre at Nexus Station, the galaxy had learned to fear the name human. Admiral Sung-Ho Roo stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Vengeance, as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a Confederation supply depot. Target acquired, Admiral, reported his tactical officer. The depot is defended by 12 ships and several defense platforms. Any civilian vessels in the area? None, sir. All civilian traffic fled when they detected our approach. Admiral. Sung-Ho nodded. That was good. Humans did not fight civilians, but military targets were fair game. Begin the attack. The Vengeance led a fleet of 50 human ships against the Confederation depot. These were not the simple Fury-class fighters from Earth's first defense. These were Hunter-class destroyers, built in the massive shipyards that now orbited every planet in the solar system. The battle lasted only 20 minutes. Confederation forces had not adapted to human tactics, and their rigid command structure made them predictable. When the shooting stopped, the depot was destroyed, and its defenders were either dead or fleeing. Sir, we have recovered their supply. Schedules and fleet movements, reported the intelligence officer. Excellent. Send the data to Commander Park immediately. Commander Ji-Woo Park had become the most feared human in the galaxy, though few aliens had ever seen her face. From her secret headquarters on Sirius, she planned operations that struck fear into Confederation hearts. She studied the captured data with her team of analysts. Look at this supply route, she said, pointing to a star map. They move food and medical supplies for 17 different worlds along this path. Should we attack it? Asked one of her officers. No, we do something. Better. We make them think we might attack it. Ji-Woo's psychological warfare had proven more effective than anyone expected. By threatening civilian targets, but never actually attacking them, She forced the Confederation to spread their military forces thin, protecting everything. Send false intelligence to their spy networks, she ordered. Make them think we are planning to attack their medical shipments. They will pull 3 more fleets away from their offensive operations to protect supplies they do not need to worry about. Meanwhile, Colonel Ariam Jang was conducting a very different kind of warfare. Her Special Forces team had infiltrated a Confederation diplomatic meeting on the neutral world of Kepler Prime. Ariam and her soldiers wore stolen alien uniforms and used advanced disguise technology. To the other aliens at the meeting, they looked like members of the Zephyrian species, one of the Confederation's smaller member races. The humans are becoming too dangerous, said High Counselor Vextar through a holographic projection. We need more ships from every member species. A real Zephyrian diplomat stood up. My people have already given you half our fleet. We cannot give more without leaving our home world defenseless. Then your home world will be defenseless, Vextar replied coldly. The human contamination must be stopped before it spreads too. Other species. Ariam recorded everything while pretending to take notes. But she also planted small listening devices throughout the meeting room. Soon, human intelligence would know every Confederation plan before it happened. After the meeting, Ariam approached several alien diplomats privately. She spoke in perfect Zephyrian language, which her team had learned in just 3 months. I have been thinking about what the Vorthix said, she told a Montari representative. Do you really believe humans are the problem? Or are the Vorthix just trying to maintain their power? The Montari looked around nervously. What do you mean? Think about it. For 3,000 years, the Vorthix have ruled us all. But now a new species appears that refuses to obey them. Maybe the humans are not contaminated. Maybe they are just free. She planted seeds of doubt in every conversation. Within weeks, several Confederation member species would begin questioning their loyalty to the Vorthix leadership. Back on Earth, Dr. Bungon worked in his secret laboratory deep underground. He was developing weapons that would have been unthinkable before the massacre. But watching Jinho Park die had changed him, just like it had changed all of humanity. The Nova bomb is ready for testing, he reported to President Kang during a secure video call. Explain how it works again, the president requested. It destabilizes the nuclear fusion process inside a star. The star becomes unstable and eventually explodes. Any planets in the system are completely destroyed. President Kang was quiet for a long moment. That is genocide, Doctor. Yes, it is. But the Confederation committed genocide against the Kepler species. And they tried to commit genocide against us. Sometimes the only way to stop a monster is to become something worse. Have you tested it? On an uninhabited system, yes. It works perfectly. The star went nova exactly as predicted. President Kang stared out her window at the night sky. I pray we never have to use such a weapon. But if the Confederation threatens Earth again, it will be ready, Madam President. The first major human offensive began 3 months later. Admiral So-Min Lee, now commanding the entire First Fleet, led an attack on the Confederation stronghold at Rigel 7. Remember, she told her captains before the battle, we are not here for conquest. We are here for justice. Every Confederation military base, every weapons factory, every command center gets destroyed. But hospitals, schools, and civilian shelters are off limits. The attack on Rigel 7 shocked the galaxy. Humans had traveled over 100 light years from Earth to strike at one of the Confederation's most heavily defended worlds. The message was clear. Nowhere was safe from human vengeance. The orbital battle lasted 6 hours. Human ships used new tactics that the Confederation had never seen before. Instead of fighting in organized formations, human pilots attacked in Small groups that constantly changed position. They were impossible to predict or counter. When the orbital defenses fell, human troops landed on the planet's surface. Colonel Ariam led the assault on the main command center, while other teams secured weapons factories and communication hubs. The Confederation commander, a proud Vorthic general named Kextar, refused to surrender even when his position was hopeless. "You are contaminated animals," he snarled at Ariam when she finally cornered him. "The Confederation will crush you all." "Your Confederation murdered our diplomats during a peace ceremony," Ariam replied calmly. "Did you think there would be no consequences? We were maintaining order. You humans refused to accept your proper place. Our proper place is not beneath anyone. That is what your people never understood." After Rigel 7 fell, something unexpected happened. The civilian population, mostly members of the Carrick species, welcomed the human soldiers. The Carrick had been oppressed by their Vorthic overlords for centuries. "You have freed us," said an elderly Carrick named Meltrin. "For the first time in 300 years, our children will not be taken as slaves." Admiral So-Min was surprised. "We did not come here to free anyone. We came for military targets. But you have freed us anyway. Will you help us govern ourselves?" So-Min contacted Earth for instructions. The response came from President Kong herself. "We will not rule over other species like the Confederation did, but we will help any people who want to be free." Within weeks, the Carrick had declared independence from the Confederation. Other oppressed species throughout the galaxy watched with interest. If the humans could free one species, maybe they could free others. Dr. Byung-hun's Nova bombs remained unused, but their existence became known to Confederation intelligence. The psychological effect was devastating. Every Confederation world lived in fear that their sun might suddenly explode. High Counselor Vextar called an emergency meeting of all member species leaders. "The human contamination is spreading faster than we anticipated. 3 more species have declared independence this month. Maybe we should try to negotiate," suggested a Montari diplomat. "Never." Vextar slammed his fist on the table. "We do not negotiate with contaminated species. We eliminate them." But several diplomats exchanged worried glances. The humans had proven they could strike anywhere, anytime. Their fleets were growing larger every month, and their weapons were becoming more advanced. Worse, the humans seemed to understand alien psychology better than aliens understood human psychology. Every Confederation move was anticipated and countered. "Sir," said a military advisor, "our intelligence estimates that humans now have over 2,000 ships. Their production capacity exceeds our entire military budget. How is that possible? They have converted their entire civilization into a war machine. Every human works to support the military effort. They have no other priorities." Vextar stared at the tactical display showing human fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Red dots marked human ships, and there were far too many of them. "Send a message to all member species," he ordered finally. "We are implementing the final protocol." The final protocol was the Confederation's most desperate plan. They would gather every available ship and attack Earth directly. Either they would destroy humanity's home world, or they would lose everything. But the humans were ready. They had been preparing for this moment since Jin-Ho Park's death. And when the Confederation fleet arrived at Earth, they would find something waiting for them that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. 2 years after Ambassador Jin-Ho Park's murder, Fleet Admiral In-Suk Kwan stood on the bridge of the Retribution, humanity's largest warship. Around her, the greatest fleet in human history prepared for the final battle. "Status report," she ordered. 3,000 ships ready for combat, Admiral," reported her tactical officer. "All weapon systems charged. The Nova bombs are armed and ready. In-Suk nodded grimly. She hoped they would not need Dr. Byung-hun's star-killing weapons, but they were prepared for anything. Through the main screen, she could see the Confederation capital world of Nexus Prime. It was even larger than Nexus Station had been. A massive planet city that housed the government of 12 alien species. Soon, it would be the site of the war's final battle. "Admiral, incoming transmission from the planet," announced the communications officer. "Put it through." High Counselor Vextar's face appeared on the screen. The proud Vorthic leader looked older and more desperate than before. Behind him, In-Suk could see the emergency session of the Confederation Council. "Admiral Quan," Vextar said, "I am authorized to offer terms for peace." "I am listening." "The Confederation will recognize Earth as an independent world. We will establish trade agreements and non-aggression pacts. Your people can govern themselves as they see fit." In-Suk almost laughed. "The same offer you gave the Kepler before you murdered them all? This is different. You have proven your strength. We respect that now. Counselor Vextar, 2 years ago you invited our diplomatic mission to a peace ceremony. Then you executed them in front of the entire galaxy. You called it necessary correction of dangerous thinking." Vextar's face twitched. "That was ... a mistake. We acted too hastily." "Yes, you did. And now you will face the consequences." A new voice interrupted from behind Vextar. Ambassador Yeon-Su Bae, Earth's new diplomatic representative, stepped into view. Unlike Jin-Ho Park, she was not interested in making friends. "Counselor, you have heard our terms," Yeon-Su said coldly. "Complete and unconditional surrender. All Confederation military forces will be disbanded. All member species will be granted immediate independence. And you will face trial for crimes against sentient beings." "Those terms are unacceptable," Vextar replied. "We cannot simply dissolve the Confederation. It would create chaos across the galaxy." "You should have thought of that before you started murdering diplomats," Yeon-Su responded. "You have 1 hour to surrender. After that, we begin the final assault." The transmission ended. In-Suk looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. These humans had spent 2 years preparing for this moment. Many had lost friends or family in the war. All of them remembered Jin-Ho Park's final words. "Admiral," called her intelligence. "Officer, we are detecting massive energy readings from the planet's surface. They are powering up their planetary defense grid." "How many guns?" "Over 10,000 orbital defense platforms, each one capable of destroying a capital ship." In-Suk smiled grimly. "Then it is a good thing we brought 11,000 ships." The hour passed quickly. When it ended, General Su Jin-Hong led the first wave of the assault. Her troops specialized in urban warfare and had trained specifically for fighting on Nexus Prime. "Remember," Su-Jin told her soldiers as their transport ships approached the planet, "we are not here to conquer. We are here to liberate. Every alien civilian who surrenders is to be treated with respect. But any military force that resists will be destroyed completely." The orbital battle was the largest in galactic history. Human ships swarmed around Nexus Prime like a metal storm, engaging defense platforms and Confederation vessels. Admiral So-Min Lei commanded the fighter squadrons, her experience from the first battle at Earth proving invaluable. "Blue Squadron, take out those gun emplacements on the northern continent," she ordered. "Red Squadron, cover the troop transports. Green Squadron, with me. We are going after their command center." The fighting was fierce, but one-sided. Human ships used tactics that the Confederation still could not counter. More importantly, human pilots fought with a determination that their enemies could not match. Within 6 hours, the orbital defenses were destroyed. Human troops began landing on the planet's surface, while the remaining Confederation fleet retreated. To the far side of the system, General Su Jin led her forces through the streets of the capital city. The architecture was beautiful but alien, with towers that stretched toward the sky and bridges that connected floating platforms. But her soldiers were not tourists. They had a job to do. "Secure the government district," she ordered. "I want the council chambers surrounded, but not damaged. If any councilors try to escape, capture them alive." The fighting on the ground was brutal but brief. Confederation ground forces had not expected humans to be so effective in urban combat. Human soldiers moved through the city like ghosts, appearing where they were not expected and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Colonel Ariam Jang led a special unit directly to the Confederation Council building. As they approached, she saw alien soldiers setting up barricades and defensive positions. "This is Colonel Jang to all Confederation forces in the government district," she broadcast on all frequencies. "You are surrounded and outnumbered. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to the laws of war. Continue fighting, and you will be destroyed." Some alien soldiers threw down their weapons immediately. Others, mostly Vorthic troops loyal to Vextar, chose to fight. The battle for the council building lasted 3 hours. When it ended, Ariam's forces had taken control of the seat of galactic government. The Confederation Council was now under Human Protection. High Counselor Vextar was found in his private chambers, trying to destroy sensitive documents. When Ariam entered the room, he looked up with hatred in his 4 eyes. "You have won nothing," he snarled. "Even if you destroy the Confederation, chaos will follow. Millions will die in the wars that come after." "Maybe," Ariam replied, "but they will die free. That is better than living as slaves under your rule. You humans understand nothing about galactic politics. You are children playing with forces beyond your comprehension. We understand justice. That is enough." With Nexus Prime captured, the war was effectively over. The remaining Confederation fleets scattered across the galaxy, some surrendering, others fleeing to distant systems. The government that had ruled for 3,000 years had fallen in less than a day. Fleet Admiral Insuk established her headquarters in the former council chambers. Representatives from dozens of alien species came to meet with her, many seeking independence from Confederation rule. "We do not want to replace the Confederation," she told each delegation. "We want every species to govern itself. But we will help maintain peace and prevent any one group from dominating others." Dr. Bong Hun's Nova bombs were never used. The threat of their existence had been enough to break Confederation morale. But Insuk ordered them kept ready, just in case. "Power like this should never be used lightly," she told Dr. Byung Hun during a private meeting. "But it should exist to remind everyone what happens when peaceful people are pushed too far." Ambassador Yan Su worked tirelessly to establish a new galactic order. Unlike the old Confederation, this new alliance would be based on cooperation rather than domination. "Every species gets one vote," she explained to the new Galactic Assembly. "No species can impose its will on another. And any group that tries to restart the old ways will face humanity's full response." The trials of Confederation war criminals took place on Earth. High Counselor Vextar and his closest supporters were found guilty of genocide and crimes against sentient beings. They were sentenced to life imprisonment on a remote human colony. World. During his sentencing, Vextar spoke one final time. "You think you have won, but you have only delayed the inevitable. Stronger species will always rule weaker ones. It is the natural order." Judge Minho Choi, Jinho Park's old friend, responded calmly. "Maybe that was true once. But humans have changed the natural order. We have shown the galaxy that peaceful species can become dangerous when threatened. No one will try to dominate others again because they know what the consequences will be." 5 years after the war ended, A memorial was built on the site where Ambassador Jinho Park had died. It was simple but powerful, a statue of Jinho, reaching toward the stars with the words, "They tried to silence peace, but only awakened justice," carved in every known galactic language. President Kang, now elderly but still sharp, spoke at the memorial's dedication. Ambassador Park came to the stars believing in the goodness of all sentient beings. His faith was betrayed, but it was not wasted. Because of his sacrifice, billions of beings now live free. Commander Jiwoo Park, now Admiral and head of Galactic Intelligence, placed flowers at her father's statue. "You wanted to bring peace to the galaxy," she whispered. "In the end, you did. Just not the way any of us expected." The galaxy was different now. Humans had not conquered it, but they had liberated it. Species that had been slaves for millennia now governed themselves. Trade and cultural exchange flourished under the new order, but everyone remembered what had happened when Earth's emissary was killed. They remembered how quickly peaceful humans had become the most feared military force in galactic history, and they made sure such a tragedy would never happen again.